you flagged this on Sunday night.
Yeah, I got some calls about this one.
You wanted to bet Washington. So here's the scary part. Like the Commanders' O-line was supposed to be terrible, but they're top five in pass blocking right now. Meanwhile, the Ravens are bottom third in coverage, which is why we've seen Burrow light them up and why until last night, Patrick Mahomes was like they were the only defense he could score against. So the logic to me is like, will this be a shootout? And because of that, does that mean there is a greater chance Washington has to keep this game close? Are you still leaning Washington 6.5?
I am, but the professionals think that Washington gets absolutely rolled here by this Ravens team. They like the matchup for the Ravens. They like the veteranship of the Ravens versus young Washington team. But I keep pushing back against them. You guys have said that for the last 2 straight weeks. You said that against Arizona, and you said it again against Cleveland. And I know some sharp groups that were heavy on Cleveland. I mean, they really moved that number. It was 3.5. A lot of books are back down to 3 before kick. Like, that's some really heavy, sharp money moving that number down because so much public money was on Washington. I told you this to me was going to be the most public play of the week for me. Like, I knew this was going to be a really heavy public dog. And it feels like Arizona last week. Like, I'm trying hard not to get bullied off this one because I do see their reasoning that, yes, no one's denying Baltimore is, what, the number 2 team right now in the AFC. I mean, you could, even if you wanted to, put them above KC, but I wouldn't. But it's just they've played that well against a really tough schedule, and they probably should. A couple things bounced their way. They probably should be the top of the AFC right now. Like, they should have probably beat the Chiefs and a bunch of other stuff. So
Yeah.
I get the love for the Ravens, but it's just like, isn't this a good matchup for Jane Daniels? You just said it. The Ravens can be passed on. This kid has a great arm and he's comfortable right now. So you're right. There's something I need to dive into more, but I have bet this at plus 6.5. You know, I don't know what I'm missing right now with this one with Washington, where it's like, I think the books are wrong on this one. And, there's plenty of professionals out there who think, no, they have this right. The hype is too high on Washington team. This is a good spot to sell high on them. And I think they're just banking on eventually Jaden Daniels is going to have a bad game. Everyone has bad games. I mean, it's the NFL. Eventually it happens. And like, this is the classic case of whatever, say against Arizona, they bet 10,000. The next week they bet 20. The next week they bet 30. And it's like, you guys are just going to keep chasing this kid on Washington. So, maybe I'll flip by come Thursday if I get more info. But as we sit here right now, nothing's changed from Sunday. Still like Washington, still like the matchup for Jane Daniels. And I think Washington's defense has been playing better than we give them credit for, right? They were really bad to start the year. They've improved every week. You've seen them get confidence and kind of get an identity here. So it's been really impressive what Washington's done these last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, it is interesting. When I was doing the research yesterday, I really wanted to find the thin sliced data point that shows me Washington is doing what I thought they were doing defensively. Because I agree, like you watch their games, and it's not just the offense, it's the defense that is keeping points down, that is stopping people. But their sort of advanced metrics are all still terrible. Like they're not great in coverage. They're not great as a pass rush. They're not great tackling. Their overall ranking isn't very good. It's an interesting,
They shouldn't be. Name 2 defensive players
but
on
that's what
Washington.
I mean. Like I'm not
They're
disagreeing with
terrible.
you. I wanted to find like, why do my eyes tell me Washington's defense is better than what the numbers are saying? Because it is. Is it just they're
Yeah.
playing good in the right spots, like scheme wise, the right play calls? Dan Quinn and his defensive staff are thoughtful about what they need to do in the exact moment they need to do it, and the rest of the time, teams are sort of having the
They're
ability to
trying to play
move. Like,
catch up, right? That's the biggest thing. They're being forced to pass. They're chasing this offense, and that's been the success for Washington. They know they can
yeah,
pin their ears back because teams are having to throw the ball. And we said the way the NFL is now, if you can't run the ball, you're doomed. Like, you need to be able to control the clock that way. That if teams know you're just gonna be passing, they can attack you. So I'm with you on that. Like, I don't. The Washington defense has been even more surprising than their offense to this point. I can't believe how well they've played these last 3 weeks.
yeah, it's been interesting. So that this is an interesting game this week. It is a classic spot. Are you going to sell high, and do you keep trying to sell high? We do the
Yeah.
same thing on the other side. This team has to be undervalued. It has to be undervalued. The Commanders right now, people are saying they have to be overvalued.